Meantime, the parade entries are arriving by air and by sea. The USS Whidbey Island got a Savannah welcome at Fort Jackson this morning. The ship transports Marines into combat, and it just returned from a 10-month deployment to the Middle East. Well, the crew members are going to be marching in the St. Patrick's Day Parade.
Patrick's Day Eve. I'm Jody Chapin.
And I'm Tim Gott. Are you making that up? Is that a new day?
No, that's a day.
Okay.
That's part of the holiday,
Neat.
the Eve.
Well, the celebration has officially begun, right?
Yeah.
So, and so have the arrests. The Savannah Channel Police Department already sent out. There's been 4 arrests already.
Four arrests.
One for disorderly conduct. Sure, why not?
Okay,
one for larceny from a building, one for begging, and one for the ever-popular public urination.
Yeah.
That's,
Don't do that. Although the porta potties are a big controversy this year.
Yes, there are.
Only, what is it, one for every 2,222
people. That's based on the math of 1 million people coming.
Right, exactly. So. But the city was adding a few more, so
exactly.
Hopefully. And don't forget the royal restrooms down on the river.
Oh, yeah.
You can pay $5, and then you can...
And it's worth every penny.
Yeah, because you can go back all day, and it goes to a charitable cause as well. So they raise
that's a great idea.
And
you know, that grew out of a festival in Savannah. You know, they had the idea, they took their young child into a porta potty and said, I'd rather not have to use this. And they came up with the idea.
Trust me, it's worth it.
Exactly. All right, well, at 600 feet long and 12,000 tons, it is the largest attraction in Savannah for St. Patrick's Day, so there was no sneaking into town for the USS Whidbey Island.
Actually, we saw it yesterday as it was coming up the river, and you might have seen it if you were watching us yesterday. It was a beautiful shot. Or maybe you heard the traditional cannon salute on her arrival from Old Fort Jackson. We are honored to have with us this morning Commander Eric Conzen, Captain of the ship, Command Master Chief Kevin Goodrich, and from the Savannah Navy League, Bob Gebhardt. Good morning, gentlemen.
Good morning. Good morning.
We have to confess that we did misidentify the ship yesterday. We were given bad information.
It's okay, we're here to set the record straight.
Good.
But you did come in yesterday, and you know, we had a chance to look at it. That must be neat when you're out at sea for such a long time to come into a port and a city.
It sure was. It sure was great. It's a nice river transit up, and the salute at Old Fort Jackson was just incredible. We don't get that often. I think it's actually the first time, obviously the first time in command. I think it's the first time I've seen it in my career. It's beautiful.
We're going to look at the video again, and who wants to give us the history of the ship?
Master Chief's my historian.
Okay.
Okay, well, our ship is, she was commissioned in '85. She's been all over the world, to virtually every sea, and been in many conflicts. Some of the notable things that she's done is she worked some humanitarian relief efforts and some evacuation stuff. When was that?
Yeah, they were involved in the Lebanon NEO a couple years ago when they had to get all the American citizens. We had 800 people at a time bringing people out of Lebanon into Cyprus. And most recently we were involved in the Libya crisis. We were sent last year on deployment to support Operation Unified Protector with NATO, and sat off the coast of Libya while the Libyans fought their civil war.
And we did give you the pronunciation there, because it's the Whidbey, spelled B-E-Y, but people mispronounce it, so we wanted to be sure that you got it right.
And Jody and I were actually surprised to learn that this was actually acquired from the Army years ago, 70 some odd years ago, but we didn't know that. The ship.
So it was built for the Navy.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
We got bad information.
Wikipedia.
That's
Can't
never trust
it.
anything you find online.
Well, Bob, you're going to have a couple of units in the parade, correct?
Well, we're really happy this year. We, number one, to actually have a U.S. Navy ship come to Savannah for St. Patrick's Day. It's the first time in a few years. The Navy has fewer and fewer ships, and so it's hard for us to get them here every year. And this is a real treat for us. So we have one ship, but we have 3 crews marching in the parade. In addition to Whidbey Island, we also have a crew from Kings Bay, from our adopted submarine, the USS Alaska, will be marching. And we also have a crew from another adopted ship we have in Mayport, Florida, down by Jacksonville, the USS Samuel B. Roberts. So we'll have 3 separate crews marching in the parade for the first time. This is a real honor for the Savannah Navy League to be able to host people like this and the crews from Mayport and Kings Bay.
That's wonderful.
People will not be able to have access.
Unfortunately, the ocean terminal is not public access, but the crew will be out, so I encourage people to meet the crew. Though a lot of them will be out in uniform, so they'll be very visible presidents.
What does this ship do now? What is your mission?
We're an amphibious transport, so we generally take Marines. Our last deployment, we had 400 Marines with armored troop carriers and that type of thing. So take the U.S. policy out to foreign countries. So.
How long have you been on this particular ship?
I've been on board for almost 2.5 years.
2.5 years, and you, sir?
Almost 3, ma'am.
Almost 3.
Wow.
What did you do in the military leading up to this?
I'm a surface warfare officer, so I've generally been on. This is my 6th ship, so similar type ships up to this, and various shore duties around the world.
Wow.
Have you had any experience with the Savannah St. Patrick's Day Parade yet?
No, this is actually my first, and it's one of the things that the Navy has on the list to try to do every year. And when I saw that our schedule was going to be open during this time frame 6 months ago, I volunteered the ship to come because I've heard very many good things about it.
Volunteered for that mission.
Well,
This visit is coveted throughout the Navy. Everybody that has been here talks about it.
Right.
It's a great time. You know, the city of Savannah is fantastic. The people are fantastic. You got a great festival. It's a lot of fun. And if you have the opportunity to bring a ship down here, you bring a ship down.
And this is what makes it great when we have people like this.
It's great for these guys to be here. They really deserve a great weekend in Savannah. They just came back from an almost very record 10-month deployment. When they left, they didn't know they were going for 10 months.
Wow.
But they got extended and extended. So to be gone, and we have 300-something guys on the ship for their crew, plus 400 Marines. So you're talking a real crowd.
Yeah. And
they're on that ship for a long, long time in lots of places. So we're really happy they have a weekend to relax and enjoy St. Patrick's Day with us.
Well, welcome. Thank the Navy League for all that you do. And please, gentlemen, and to all your crew, be safe and have a good time.
Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for being here. All right. Register now for the Savannah Coleman Race for the Cure. That's next.
Alrighty, looking pretty good. It's quite the port of call for the crew of a Navy warship that's in town this weekend.
The USS Whidbey Island just completed a 10-month deployment in the Middle East. WJCL's Rob Macco was on board today. He has the story for us.
Cannon fire at Old Fort Jackson welcomed the USS Whidbey Island to Savannah on Thursday. The warship is now docked for the weekend at the Georgia ports under the Talmadge Bridge. The USS Whidbey Island, whose home port is Norfolk, Virginia, was built in 1985. It's classified as a landing ship dock and transports Marines into combat.
We spent about 3 months supporting the people of Libya in their war against Colonel Gaddafi. And then we went on a regularly scheduled 7-month deployment right after that to the Middle East.
During a landing, this part of the ship fills up with water so amphibious assault vehicles can roll out. This flight deck would be full of Marine Corps helicopters, Humvees, and trucks. With a slew of missiles and missile defense systems on board, the ship can also do anti-piracy missions. This warship and her crew just wrapped up a 10-month deployment to Libya and the Middle East. Now, they couldn't have asked for a better time to have a port call than St. Patrick's Day weekend here in Savannah. Around 330 crew members are in town for St. Patrick's Day weekend. For many, it's their first visit. Jordan Emery is from Georgia, but he'd only been through Savannah once before.
We heard about it. I didn't think it was going to happen because, after a long deployment, it's like, they're not going to send us here. But, we just ended up here, and it's just like, wow, they're celebrating just for us. And then we went out there. It was kind of surreal, being in uniform, and everybody's like, oh, I love sailors. So I like it a lot.
With a nice view of River Street from the ship's stern, Savannah is ready to welcome the sailors and show them a good time. Rob Macco, WJCL News.
More than 60 sailors will be marching in tomorrow's St. Patrick's Day parade. The ship sails out of Savannah on Monday. Her next stop is home base in Norfolk, Virginia. Still to come tonight on WJCL News at 6.
Georgia Southern head coach Charlton Young up for a national award. Big Frank's got the details coming up in sports.
Everyone knows Toyota is #1.
All right, if you're downtown for the St. Patty's celebration, take a look down the river and you might notice the USS Whidbey Island.
That's right. The special dock landing ship is able to fill up with water taking in other ships and also put Marines on shore with tanks, Humvees, and other combat equipment. The ship is one of just 12 in its class. After a long deployment, the massive Navy vessel is here to lend a hand when dealing with St. Patrick's Day safety. A real treat to the Marines and sailors on board.
You know, when you join the Navy, see the world, it's a nice thing to go out and see. Sometimes the world includes your own country, and you don't normally think of that intuitively.
While they are here to aid in this weekend's festivities, well, a lucky few will get to march in tomorrow's parade. You're watching News 3 on your side at 6.
The U.S. Navy warship USS Whidbey Island is in town for St. Patrick's Day. The ship came into port yesterday morning. It is the lead ship of a class of 12 fleet and a landing ship dock which transports U.S. Marines into combat. It has just returned from a record-setting 10-month deployment to the Middle East. We welcome them along with all other military who are here to celebrate St. Patrick's Day with all of us.
The Navy tries to support the St. Patrick's Day celebration down here in Savannah every year with the ship. About 6 months ago, while we were still on deployment, I saw that it was still available and jumped and had us get penciled into the schedule. So they can tell you what all the different ones are.
About 60 to 70 sailors with the Whidbey Island are expected to walk in the St. Patrick's Day parade on tomorrow. Of course, we'll be looking out for them and every.
All right, Sonny, we've got the commander of the Whidbey. Welcome to Savannah, sir.
Thank you. It's great to be here.
How's St. Patrick's Day treating your crew?
This has been incredible. It's the best thing I've ever been to in 20 years in the Navy.
This is your first year in St. Patrick's Day. Have you ever seen anything? Would you have anticipated?
Nothing like it. I've heard stories that it was great, but you don't know until you see it. This is awesome.
Well, welcome to Savannah, and hope to see you come back and bring the ship in again.
Thank you, sir. We look forward to it.
Take care,
thank you.
United States Navy, crew of the Whidbey. There they are. They provide, oh, I'm not going to say that.